If you've got questions, I've got answers for you today. I've talked a lot over the past few months about moving, and the point of our move is to start a new church. So today I thought I'd answer some questions about me, my family, and pastoral ministry in general. If you have questions that I don't end up answering in this video, please just drop them in the comments below. So first of all, who am I? My name is Kim Bitner, as indicated in my channel name, so that's pretty self-explanatory. Moving on. Where are you located? Currently, I am in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and we've been living here temporarily for the past few weeks while our kids finish the school year before we move to Alberta. So in a few days, we will be in Edmonton, which is where we're planting a new church. We already own a house there, and all our stuff has been moved there, so we just need to get there and start unpacking. What is the name of your church, and how long has it been in existence? Our church is called Grace Edmonton, and we haven't officially launched yet. We're still very much in the beginning stages, but we originally got plugged into Grace Fellowship in Saskatoon here in 2009, and we were sent to plant in Warman, Saskatchewan in 2015 with another couple, and now we're being sent out to plant again with another couple in Edmonton. So right now, Grace Edmonton is two whole families. We live next door to each other, and we are praying that the Lord would send mature, gospel-centered believers to be a part of our core team, and that the lost in Edmonton would come to know the saving grace of Jesus through our church. Next question, tell us about your family. In September, Clay and I will celebrate our 20th anniversary. I don't know how that's possible since I still think that I'm in my 20s. Obviously, I'm not. But yeah, we've been married for almost 20 years. And when we were dating, Clay said that he wanted to have 10 kids, and I thought he was joking. I figured 3 or 4 would be okay. And yet here we are. We have 6 kids, 4 boys and 2 girls. We've been homeschooling since the beginning, and as our kids have reached high school age, we have sent them to Catholic high school, which has been an amazing thing to see our kids grow in maturity and depth in their faith as they navigate their way through understanding their beliefs when they're contrasted with Catholicism. Now, out of respect for their privacy, I won't give you many details about my kids, but they range in age from 18 down to 3, and the 4 oldest have all professed faith in Jesus and have been baptized, and it has been an incredible joy to see the Holy Spirit at work in the lives of my kids. Next question is, was ministry something that you had on your radar? How did you step into ministry? Pastoral ministry was never on my radar. And I purposely did not go to Bible college because I didn't want to marry a guy who wanted to be a pastor. Clay was a computer programmer, and we got married. We had dreams of him making a lot of money, and we were going to have a comfortable life. And then we had been married for about 4 years when he said to me, I think God's calling me to be a pastor, but I have no idea what that looks like. And I hadn't gotten that memo from God. And so I just hoped that this would be something that would pass quickly. But it really became evident over time that God was calling him to this. And we ended up getting connected with the church here in Saskatoon, Grace Fellowship, and Clay was trained up within the church for pastoral ministry. What books are you currently reading, and what books have been most helpful or influential for you? I'm currently reading The Hidden Art of Homemaking by Edith Schaeffer and Planet Narnia, The 7 Heavens in the Imagination of C.S. Lewis by Michael Ward. And then nonfiction books that have been most influential to me. Some that stand out are The Insanity of God by Nik Ripken, You Can Change by Tim Chester, The Imperfect Disciple by Jared C. Wilson, Your Future Self Will Thank You by Drew Dick, Everyday Faithfulness by Glenna Marshall, and Anything by Brant Hansen. I always am really encouraged by his books. And then fiction books that have stuck with me. Some of my favorites are Who Has Seen the Wind by W.O. Mitchell, All Manner of Things by Susie Finkbeiner, Peace Like a River by Leif Enger, and The Extraordinary Death of Mrs. Kipp by Sarah Brunsvold. And then what are some of your favorite resources that you'd recommend to other women, like books, blogs, articles, podcasts, etc.? So I already covered books. I'll name a few podcasts that I like. One of my favorite podcasts is Come Over for Dinner. The host, Bess, interviews people about how they approach generous biblical hospitality. So I'm always really encouraged by that one. I love Gospel in Life, which is Tim Keller's sermon podcast, and the Brant and Sherry Oddcast. That's Brant Hansen's radio show. And if I ever need a good laugh, I definitely get it from listening to that one. And let's not forget the Acts 29 Canada podcast. What is a fun fact about you? So I am a bit of an adrenaline junkie. I love huge roller coasters and fast and crazy water slides. I was in South Africa after high school, and at the time, that was the location of the world's highest bungee jump. The highest one in the world now is somewhere else, I think maybe in Dubai. But at that time, the bungee jump off of the Blaukrans Bridge in South Africa was the highest jump. And I jumped it without a flutter in my stomach. It was one of the funnest things I have ever done in my life. And while I was on that trip, I was also in Uganda. So I whitewater rafted on the Nile River in Uganda. That I was terrified to do because I'm not a good swimmer, but I lived to tell the tale. So there you go. I love doing things that get my adrenaline pumping. What is one piece of ministry that you have found most surprising? This was a hard one for me to answer, but I think I have been surprised by how Jesus has grown my faith. I used to stress out about everything, but through the years, he has shown his absolute trustworthiness and faithfulness to me over and over again. Moving to a new city with so many unknowns would have terrified me even just 10 years ago. And now I'm just going with faith that the one who called us to go there will provide what we need. If you have one piece of advice for a new church planting wife, what would it be? I would say you need to fight for unity in your marriage and be your husband's number one support and cheerleader, because he will face so much criticism and attack, whether that's spiritually or from other people. So don't see it as your job to fix him. He knows what his weaknesses are, but you need to be the safe place where he knows he will be supported and built up. What was or is the hardest part of church planting and or ministry for you? And how have you seen God work through this? I think that the hardest part of church planting is when people leave the church. And sometimes they leave for good reasons and on good terms. And in those times, while the loss of those church family members hurts because you miss those people, it's easier to navigate the conversations with my kids and other people in the church. But when people leave without closure and they might be angry or unwilling to reconcile differences, and you're left in the wake of trying to graciously explain their absence to others when they haven't done the work of explaining anything to other people, that's very hard. And I've really struggled with that. It's always been something that I've had a hard time with, developing close relationships. And then those experiences of people leaving on bad terms, that leaves me feeling burned, and I end up guarding myself against future relational hurt by just not getting close to others or not letting them get close to me. And I know that Jesus wants me to be open and to be willing to receive people into my life. And I'm just praying that he allows me to push past this as we plant again. And I want to love people well. And I know that if it means suffering loss, he will be faithful to walk through that with me. But that's definitely a challenge for me. And last question, how can others pray for you in your specific context? I would just ask that you please pray for unity amongst the two families that currently comprise our church, Grace Edmonton. Pray for the growth of our core team and connections with neighbors in our new neighborhood. And pray for our kids as they transition to life in a new city, in a new high school and a university. And also that God would provide a meeting space for our church when the time comes that we outgrow the ability to meet in our home. And then for Clay, if you would be willing to pray, we would appreciate that you'd pray for, he has some ongoing health challenges related to his surgery. He had his esophagus removed in 2020, and we're still trying to just nail down optimal eating habits to help him feel his best. And I also have health challenges too. I have chronic pain that I've been battling for several years, and the severity of it ebbs and flows, but it does present challenges to daily life when it flares up. So prayer for getting that under control or just healed would be appreciated as well. So hopefully you know me a little better than you did before. If you have other questions, please leave them below, and thank you for hanging out with me today. I'll see you soon.